This is Kevin Pruitt with another episode of Rising Tide Startups, and my guest today is Alix Rufas. Alix, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, once again, I'm guilty of Facebook stalking. I found Alix in a Facebook group that we were co-members of, and I looked at her profile, and I love the background of her business and the work she does, and reached out to her, and she graciously agreed to come on the show and kind of share some wisdom with us. But Alix, give us a little background. Who is Alix Rufas?
Well, I'm really happy to be here and to be talking to you. So thank you for that. Who am I? So I can answer this in many different ways. I can start by saying that I'm a coach, trainer, and speaker. And what I do currently is that I help people execute on their bigger vision. So I help individuals find a sense of purpose, refine that, and execute on that. And I do that in different ways. I do one-on-one coaching with internet calls with people all over the world. But I also do that in workshops, training, seminars, and retreats. So I have my own business, and I'm having the best time doing that. This is the very short summary of the business part.
Right.
And on the other side, I'm also, I have a mixed background. Officially, I'm Spanish, but my passport says I'm Spanish, but I never lived in Spain. And so I was born in Luxembourg. I grew up in Brussels. I lived in Italy and the UK, near London, and now I'm based in the Netherlands, where I run my business, but I travel every month somewhere different. So that's that.
Wow. So where did you live in the UK? In Guildford?
Yeah, actually.
So the reason I know that is we spent 9 years living in Surrey. So if you drive straight west from Guildford, you run into a town called Reigate, and it's about maybe 25, 30 minutes just straight east of Guildford. So I've been to Guildford many, many times, but I saw on your website that you had a connection to the University of Surrey, and I knew
Yes,
that was in
exactly.
Guildford. So
Yes, exactly. There we go. Guildford is so beautiful. I
it
spent there
is.
for half a year, and I worked at the University of Surrey as a research assistant, and
Yeah.
I learned so much. It was a beautiful experience. Yeah.
So linguistically, you gotta speak Spanish, a little Italian, a little Dutch,
French, yeah, Dutch
Flemish.
a
You
little
speak any
bit.
Flemish at all? I mean,
Dutch a little bit, and then French. Yeah, French and Spanish are my mother tongues, and then
wow.
now most of the day I just speak English. I work in English, and yeah, that's my main language every day now. Yeah.
There's that reminds me of that really bad joke about, what do you say? What do you call somebody that speaks three languages? You call them trilingual. Somebody that speaks two languages is bilingual, and somebody that speaks one is American. So
Okay.
we have to be self-deprecating, So the rest of the world picks on us, so we do too. So, but it's thanks for that background. And so, tell me, just let's step back quite a long way. And you said that you started your first business. How old were you?
Um, well, I started as a kid. I don't really remember how old, but I think by the age of four, I was already, I was going to, I showed up to the playground in business clothes, and I was always thinking of ways to do things. So I was selling during my summers instead of playing normally. I was selling jewelry or all kinds of little things that I found all over the place on little boxes on my summer village. So I put like carton boxes on the floor, and then I sold whatever I could sell already from a
Wow.
very, very young age. Yeah, and then year by year, summer by summer, that box grew basically, and I had friends helping me with that, and my little brother helped me a lot as well. And then eventually I had a 2 meter stand at a jewelry market, at the same place. And then I started selling to shops. And then by the age of 11, I had a team of 11 people making jewelry for me. And we were like a full team, and we won several prizes, and we were actually making profit, and we were teenagers. But it was great. I had a lot of fun. And this is something that came always to me very naturally, and that I really always really enjoyed figuring things out on my own, figuring out what people want to buy and how to modify things so they like it more. And so that was my first business. And and since then I've just started many different projects, and that's what I love doing, finding something cool to do and then figuring it out on my own and then growing that. So
Did I hear you correctly? You said you had a team of 11 when you were 11?
yeah. Yeah.
and I mean this in the best possible way. That's insane. An 11-year-old would already have a team of 11 people, and I could just picture if your younger brother was working for you, you probably were not paying him a working wage at the time.
No, 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 no. I mean, no, I don't think so. Maybe I was giving him something, but I'm
Yeah,
not
here's some candy. That's right. You don't need to bother with money. Here's some candy. Yeah, go out and sell. Stay up till midnight. Sell my jewelry. Wow. I've got nightmares of my older brother when I was younger. That's a great story. So
he's always been super sweet and
I'm
he's
sure.
always been very helpful.
That's right. I'm following your footsteps. Yeah, okay. I don't want to chase that rabbit so much, but so so you went to university. So what was the transition? Did you work for other companies? You said you did some work at a university. What was kind of the quick story of your path leading to, becoming a business coach?
So when I finished high school, I had to kind of the team of 11 that I was talking about kind of like went well just disappeared because we all went to different
Right.
countries to study abroad, etc. But I always kind of I was always looking for that feeling of like doing things on my own and really figuring things out on my own. And the jewelry business was not scalable. I couldn't do that alone because it simply took too much time to
Sure.
make the jewelry. So I had to find something else. So I moved to the Netherlands to start my bachelor. And then next to my bachelor, I got involved with three different startups. I co-founded different things, and then I just like for me, I was learning, in my opinion, much more outside of university than
Mm,
at
that's true of a
university.
lot
And
of
then
us.
yeah, I really just enjoyed it a lot. And then I did all kinds of things, and I organized events, and I built teams again, and I led teams and things like that. And that was really giving me a life,
Hmm.
basically, next to my studies. And after my bachelor, I continued with a master. I still didn't have, I hadn't found the one business idea that I really,
Right.
really liked. So I kind of kept on, and I did a research master. And funnily enough, I see a lot of parallel between business and research because in research, you can also do things on your own. So you can also come up with your own research projects and figure things out on your own. And
Yeah.
so that's what I liked. And that's what I did with a research master. And I was considering starting a PhD after that. And actually, I applied for one and I got rejected. And then I thought, okay, this is a sign, and I'm just not going to do research because actually I'm a very practical person and I have to be very honest with myself. And I like to get things done, and I like fast-paced environments.
I've
And
kind of
doing
picked up on that during the interview.
and doing a PhD for 4 to 5 years, actually, if I was very honest with myself, in the end, didn't really sound that appealing. So a friend of mine, actually, that I was talking to earlier today, was working at a startup accelerator, and in the region here in the Netherlands, and she told me that they were looking for people, for all kinds of people,
Hmm.
including researchers, to join their
Right.
team. And so I joined, but a bit like, okay, this is plan B. I don't know what to do. I don't have yet this genius business idea, so I'm just going to join and see what happens. And I stayed there for 1 year and a half, so that was my first full-time job after my studies.
Hmm.
So helping startups to grow, and I had been, of course, involved in the
Right.
startup scene a lot already before, and I had a lot of contacts in the startup scene, and I had organized startup conferences and all of that. And so I worked there for 1 year and a half officially. But 1 month into the job, I quit my employee status, basically because I had come up with a project that management was really interested in. So they said, okay, try to turn that into a company.
Okay.
And so try to go through our own incubation
Right.
acceleration
Right.
programs, try to build a team around it, raise funding around it, and turn it into a company. So of course I was completely thrilled. And that sounded really, really cool to me. And I learned a lot. So for 1 year and a half, I did that. And I grew that project, which was a software to connect startups with investors, and I learned everything about that. So I had a lot of support, and I'm really, really grateful. I had a lot of advisors, a lot of people giving me feedback. I built a team again of several people. I think we were about 10 in total, with software developers, designers, social media, everything, and we got a lot of funding for it and everything. And then after 1 year and a half, everything was set up. We had done all the testing, customer interviews, etc. So we knew what to build, what to do. And then And then I had to make a choice between continuing with that, but then really for the long term,
Yep.
or really doing my own thing outside of that company. And that was a very, very tough decision for me to make. But in the end, I chose to leave, to
Hmm.
resign, and to start my own thing from scratch, like I do quite often. And there we go. So that was actually earlier this year, in January, February of this year. And since then, I have my own business now, and I'm just really, 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 really happy. I'm just learning a lot. I'm doing things how I want them, when I want them. Yeah, and it's just like it's amazing. I really, really love it. So yeah.
So
What?
let me ask you a kind of a follow up question on that particular thing you just mentioned. So there are many different types of entrepreneurs and many different stages of kind of the business development process and the company the stages of building a company. It sounds like to me that you really see yourself as like a creator. You're kind of the idea generator. You're kind of the very front end. Would that be an accurate assessment? And then you could probably get bored really quickly if you just stayed to maintain things.
Yes,
Would
definitely.
that be a good? I mean, because
Yeah.
I resonate with that very much, and I'm really excited about the front end of projects. I love the whiteboard sessions, the brainstorming, the creation side. But when it starts getting into managing the day to day running of the operation, I get bored very quickly.
Yeah,
And so
exactly.
that's
Yeah.
it's interesting because I mean it's we're all wired differently, and we need people that are managers. We need people that can do the day to day, running of the business and do the details and things like. But you also need the dreamers on the front
Yeah.
end, and
Yeah.
it sounds like to me
Exactly.
that because you probably you may even carry a small notebook with you just to jot down, or maybe on your
Oh
iPhone
yeah, many
notes.
notebooks.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Just as you're riding the bus, your tube, you're on the plane. You're like, oh, wait, that's another idea. I'll follow up with that when I get home. So
Constantly. I have papers all over the place, pen and paper. I have notes on my phone. I have audio notes on my phone. I have videos on my phone. I have tried all the recording styles because I just have to record all the time. So yeah, yeah, definitely. Very on point.
well, that's pretty easy to diagnose when I see somebody that mirrors my personality type. It's very easy to diagnose. So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you said you started in January. You kind of transitioned just to going on your own, like the first this year, and so that's when like AlixRufas.com was kind of born,
Yeah,
and the coaching
definitely.
side of things. So
Yes.
you're still pretty early in the startup phase of that. But what would you say would be like one or two like pain points that you've really experienced kind of on the front end of kind of getting this rolling that maybe our listeners could speak into? What would you say would be like maybe the number one pain point that you experience on a daily basis or fairly
Yeah.
regularly?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question, and I think it's something, at least for me, it's something that I want to. I've started to talk about a lot with my surroundings because I recognize it, and I think that other people might resonate with that as well.
Hmm.
For me, it's even if it's an I'm in the early stage of this business, but it's something that I've struggled with for many years actually in every single business, and it's my own mindset. And so it's really easy. I feel as a business owner, but in general as a driven person. So it can be even a researcher or anybody for that matter that is really driven and really demanding, so to
Hmm.
speak, to really just put too much weight on yourself and talk
Mm.
yourself down really easily. And
Right.
you can talk yourself into failure like that. And that's something that I'm just very good at. and
Mm.
and now I'm really consciously working on rewiring that and really just being kinder to myself in the process because I really believe that and I'm reading a lot about that and I've watched a few really good talks on this topic actually. That when you're kind to yourself and when you love yourself unconditionally, then things flow in a completely different way.
Hmm.
And so that's for me. This is my main focus actually. I grow my business, but every single day I do something that really addresses this specific thing, the mindset, and to really be just very enthusiastic and forgiving with yourself as you go. Because as an entrepreneur, you're going to make a lot of mistakes all the time. And if you beat
Mm,
yourself up for every single one of them, you're just not going to last. Yeah. And so it's really important to cheer yourself up all the time and forgive yourself constantly on a daily basis and move
hmm
on and move on and move on without feeling sorry for yourself. And so that's, I mean, the feeling sorry for myself, I've worked on in the past, and I feel, but it's more about this being kinder. Okay, so I had an interview the other day, and it was a huge opportunity, and maybe maybe I blew it, and then it's way too easy in the
right.
few days afterwards to really talk yourself into, oh my, what did I do? What did I? And
Mm.
then just think about it like all the time. It's not useful. And so it's really, yeah, I'm really working on that and letting go of that and just like trusting that things will turn out the way they have to. Yeah. So that's the main
So
thing.
yeah, that's so help me put that in words. So is it just change your mindset to be kinder to yourself, to not put so much pressure on yourself? How would you word that exactly?
Um, love yourself in the process, and be kind to yourself
Hmm
and trust the process. I mean, maybe these three things are the most important.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I know one thing you touched on, and this is so true, that the idea that we are going to make mistakes constantly, but that really is also a sign of growth. It's a sign of trying. I mean, that's the whole entrepreneurial cycle. You try, you test things that
Yeah.
work, you stick with things that don't work, you kind of recycle and try something else. It's almost like the
Yeah.
the lean cycle, the
Yeah.
lean startup cycle, the kind of the MVP,
Yeah.
minimum viable product, test cycle that you mentioned, and it's the same with our own mindsets. So
Yeah.
that's a very good point. Is there another pain point that you've experienced or you do experience on a regular basis that our listeners could maybe speak into?
Maybe something else would be, I think, probably a little bit linked to this. So,
Hmm
the first point is linked, I think, to some extent to letting go of control and just trusting
Mm,
that things will unfold the right way. And so, linked to that, another pain point would be perhaps being able to trust others more and
yeah.
delegate more and systematize and do things. So, detach myself from the business consciously,
Mm,
regularly, and delegate more and systematize more and build passive income streams, things like that. So
hmm
just really just work on the kind of like higher, bigger picture. So that's I'm working on that, but to me, it's still a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I really I want to have things running, and when I delegate, things go wrong, and so then I just stop delegating, and it's like so
It's
it's
a
a learning
vicious cycle.
process. So,
It is
yeah,
certainly a vicious
yeah,
cycle. Yeah,
yeah,
that is a concern, I think, of many entrepreneurs, especially as you're starting out. Because you do everything when you first start. You're everything from emptying the rubbish bin to getting supplies to answering all the phones and emails, and then all of a sudden with growth, you have to delegate that. And you mentioned
yeah.
something earlier in the interview that just made me think of the kind of the E-Myth books that talk about working on your business instead of in it. A business is not scalable if you continue to work in the business as a
Yes.
player in the business. You really have to work on it, and I like that. Being able to
Yeah.
delegate well and kind of
Yeah.
let go of the controls. But
Yeah.
so, what would you say would be in this kind of short path of 6 or 7 months or so? What would you say would be like one highlight that you've really seen that you just had a superb day? Um, since January, you think when you went to bed that night, you thought, "Wow, this is exactly why I shifted and I'm doing this right now."
Yeah. To be honest, there's been many moments like this, and
Hmm
that's why I'm smiling and I'm just really, really grateful. There's many there, and I call it magic. I don't know how else to call it. Sometimes, like, just things align and
Yeah.
things work out really, really well. So of course I've been working a lot, but there's been many moments where so I set money goals that were higher, like to my previous income as a corporate, basically. And so the first month after starting my business, so my first month alone without being employed was March, and officially. And then I doubled my net income from my previous job. And then when I
Wow.
saw that I managed to build everything from scratch and have all this new income and find clients and just figure out everything without a plan. I didn't have a business plan, nothing. I just hustled. I just worked like crazy, and I found clients and I convinced them to pay me. I had never done that before in my life. And then I just figured it out. So at the end of that first month, I looked at my bank account and I saw like, yeah, the amount of money. And I was like, okay, I can do this. And then I was really, really happy. And then the same thing happened every single month afterwards. And then I kept on raising the bar. So now I'm just like, I'm working on this trust. And this has to do a little bit with, maybe to some people, this sounds a little bit woo-woo, but like with manifesting what you want to see happening in your life. And that's something I really started believing in, because it's a matter of, again, visualizing what's the ideal outcome that you want for yourself in terms of money or people or opportunities, and then really doing everything that you can, taking massive action to really make that happen, but also trusting it and visualizing and kind of celebrating as if it was already happening to you. And then the combination of all these elements I've been working with all of these months, and it's just, crazy things have happened to me this way, and just many really great surprises. People reach out to me all the time. They talk about potential collaborations and plans for the future, and there's this kind of really beautiful flow going on. Of course, there's challenges, but
Sure.
next to that, there's many miracles. And I really so there's the money, but there's also people, meeting people, and hearing of opportunities. And there's many I cannot. I don't want to mention publicly, but there's just many cool things happening in the background, and
Right.
I'm very, very excited about that. Yeah.
So you mentioned something really interesting that I'm going to call you out on a little bit there. You said, so I started asking for money like you had never done that before. But that's probably not true, because you probably had to raise some VC money in some of these startups as well.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
that's at a whole different level.
Yeah,
Then-
actually, you're right. I never thought about it like that, actually. Yeah, definitely. I did raise quite some money, actually, for my previous, just the previous project. You're right. But somehow, because I was working within an existing
Sure.
organization,
Yeah.
and it didn't feel the same
It wasn't
way. So I
personal.
didn't, no,
Yeah, this is
exactly.
personal
And
now.
yeah,
Yeah.
now it's me, and it's completely, I'm much more vulnerable. It's just me, and they have to trust me, and there's no one around me. Before I was working with it, and there was like a lot of big names around the project and all of that. They knew each other, la la
Yeah.
la. And that didn't really satisfy me completely, because I never knew exactly why things were happening, even though I was really working very hard. But now it's really just me. It's my name, and it's me, and it's me and my skills, and how I'm able to hustle or just get things done. And and it's working. So that's a totally different feeling.
Well,
Much more satisfying.
yeah. Let me follow up on one other thing that I think that you kind of
Yeah.
touched on a little bit too. This idea that you launched kind of in January, but you said you went full time in March. So when you then it was interesting, this little subtle phrase that you used. You said, then I looked at my bank account and I saw this. So it looked like to me, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it looks like to me that you were focusing more on trying to provide value and really service your clients well, instead of worrying about the money. And
Yeah.
you just kind of knew, if I do what I promised them, if I provide the value and services they're expecting, the money will follow.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
I mean, that is such a, I think, and if you want to expand on that a little bit, please do. But I think that's such a valuable lesson for our listeners to hear. This whole idea of providing value, that being your driving force, that being the kind of your focus is to provide the value, and then let the revenue take care of itself. So anything
Yes.
you want to touch on, or would that
Um,
be an accurate
yes,
assessment?
of course. Yeah. This is, I think
Because that's not always true.
key. I think it's key, at least for me. This is like the central point. I think if you don't deliver value, eventually you're out of business, right?
Yeah.
So I always, from the beginning, I knew that if I wanted to make this work, I had to over deliver and over deliver and over deliver and really provide value. and I'm really results oriented. So I really wanted to see like a massive impact in each single individuals from the beginning. From the first, I started with two test clients that
Mm-hmm.
were friends of mine,
Mm-hmm.
but already there I was so obsessed with really creating such a like change in their lives. I just kept on trying and trying harder, and this was just took a couple of weeks to really understand, okay, how do I have to phrase things
Mm.
and how do I have to ask questions in order to really trigger them. And I was always taking notes after each call, and then I just understood a little bit how to, and of course I improve myself after every call. I try to improve myself, and I take notes all the time, and I reflect on how I do things, but I always go for the maximum impact, and that is always so rewarding, because first of all, of course, clients are happy, but they are so happy that they talk to their friends and then they send me referrals. And so far I haven't, so I'm completely financially independent. My monthly income is increasing all the time, and I haven't invested anything in marketing. It's just
Wow.
really
Just word of
over
mouth, and
deliver.
yeah,
Yeah, over
yeah,
delivering, and really being super committed to really improving every single person's life that I talk to,
right.
and then they talk to their friends. Yeah, it's referrals, and just also, I mean, I use a lot of social media. I use Instagram and Facebook a little bit less, mainly Instagram. Some leads come from there, but mostly it's referrals and
Mm-hmm.
word of mouth, and
Yeah.
I'm really so far very grateful for that. Yeah.
So, listeners, you're going to have to watch the YouTube to see this, but um, this is really funny to me because we lived in southern France for a little while, right on the Mediterranean, and Mediterranean people that have a Mediterranean background have a really unique way of expressing themselves because they use their hands a lot. And
Yeah.
I really miss that. And actually, when we were there, my third child, my daughter Addison, she was about 5, and our neighbors would talk to us, and they would go, "We don't know where you all came from, but she's one of us," because she would speak with her hands, and I mean her accent was beautiful, and yeah, it was just really interesting to see. But yeah,
Yeah.
that just watching you express yourself, it just that brought back very good memories for me. But
Okay. I just don't notice it anymore. So yeah.
it is a good thing. Please don't ever stop. So, do you have a team that works with you now, or are you
Yes,
on your own?
we are. So it's me and four other people so far. Yeah, yeah.
And
So I'm
did
really
they
grateful
start
for
with you, or did you just kind of hire them as needed?
that. Well, no, I started on my own, but then basically, so there's three. I have three interns that are helping me a lot. They're still students, and I'm coaching them at the same time, and they
Mm-hmm.
are just really, really. And so I think I talked to them already within the first month, of because I understood again, because I'm
Right.
just the front person, and I understand that some things I'm just really not good at, like accounting and legal things, and uh, maybe other like more tedious things, and I just I needed to delegate that. So I asked them if they could help me, and I'm super super grateful. You're of great help. It's incredible, and we talk on a weekly basis. And then there is and then I have my business partner Greta, who is with who I organize retreats, and
Okay.
this is a whole other level. We are almost like this married couple where like we call each other every day and we just talk about everything all the time. And so this is a little bit different. So I have my coaching business, and now we are working on the retreat. We are expanding on the retreat
Mm-hmm.
side together. She has organized retreats for a long time, and we are organizing a second one now in August, and it's working really well. And so that's something different. But we are definitely working together all the time, and I'm really also very grateful for that. So yeah.
Now, are these primarily ladies that are doing startups? Are these not necessarily ladies? Who's the group that you're targeting for
My
like these
clients,
retreats? No, for these
yeah,
retreats you're talking about.
yeah, for the retreats, it depends actually, but it's mostly 20s, 30s.
Mm-hmm.
People who are looking for a sense of purpose or to refine it or to really strengthen it. And the first retreat was only for women, so it was we called it Wonder Women, and it was all
I
about
think I
women.
saw something about that. Yeah, that's why
Yeah,
I asked the question. Yeah.
Yeah, and helping each other, and it was amazing. It was magical, and we definitely intend to do more women empowerment retreats.
Hmm.
But the one upcoming now in August, we purposely did it mixed,
Hmm.
and so now we have a team of the maximum capacity of the retreat is 19, and we have like an amazing group of men and women, freelancers, entrepreneurs, employees wanting to become entrepreneurs,
Right.
all kinds of profiles, but all people who are really eager to find to disconnect from their dailies for
Hmm.
5 days, for a couple of days in a beautiful place, and to really reconnect to themselves and to kind of kickstart afresh with purpose when
Yeah.
they come back home, fresh of new ideas, and just really knowing, okay, this is exactly what I need to do next to really like get my work life to the next level, basically.
Wow. So they actually leave the retreat with kind of a personal plan in place to put in, like, what are their next steps after they leave the retreat, or is it just to unplug and just kind of, just what? Yeah,
Uh,
I don't want to put words in your mouth.
it
What's kind of the outcome of the retreat?
It's so we combine wellness activities together with intense coaching activities,
Okay.
and I call it mindfully packed because there's a really intense program. So it's
Hmm.
about 10 hours a day, but it shouldn't feel like you're overwhelmed.
Right.
So we combine wellness, we combine yoga, meditation, hikes, body work, all kinds of different things to really, of course, like really good healthy food, all kinds of swims in the sea, time outside. So all kinds of activities to really make you feel good in your body and your mind and your soul. But at the same time, there's all kinds of coaching sessions that are tailored to the needs of each participant. So
Mm.
basically, before the retreat, we select participants carefully, and then we are looking for people who would both benefit from the retreat, but who can also contribute to it.
Mm.
And so, for example, we have some emotional coaches
Right.
that are willing to give a workshop to all the entrepreneurs in terms of like, okay, connecting more to your emotions, but at the same time, they also want to take their business to the next level. So then they can receive coaching from somebody else. So in that way, we co-create an intense program together every single time that is unique to each retreat.
What a great
So
idea. What a
yeah.
great idea. Well, I could continue to ask you follow up questions all day long, but I know you've got things to do, and we do want to keep this short enough that people will actually listen to the entire episode here. But let me drill down a little more and kind of get inside your head a little bit. So, what would or who would you say would be one person online that you really that really inspires you, and why would that you choose that person?
Yeah, there's many, 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 of course, and that I follow, and I ingest a lot of content every
Hmm.
single day. So there's many. Um, I would say one role model for me is Marie Forleo.
Hmm.
Many
Yeah.
entrepreneurs are probably familiar with her.
Hmm.
She's amazing, in my opinion. I've been following her for many years, and she's just so hardworking. And at the same time, she makes things seem effortless, and
Mm.
just she still does everything with grace and speaks really clearly, and she delivers really high quality content every single time. She has this B School program that she opens up every once a year for
Hmm.
people who really want to improve their online business. And I've taken it this year, and I was just stunned by the quality of it, and everything is just like, yeah, just of such high quality. And at the same time, she's just really approachable and open and yeah, she's a real role model because she's very strong and soft at the same time, and she delivers really good content, and she does something a little bit in line of with what I would like to do, to
Sure.
empower people to really execute, to give them really concrete practical tools to execute on whatever their bigger vision is. So that I
Wow.
really, yeah.
That's probably the most thorough why that I've ever received on any of our episodes. When you choose somebody, I mean, that was a well prepared answer right there. I am really
Well,
impressed. Marie
I
should
just
be
really
impressed
like
too.
her.
That's so you said you have notes everywhere. You have notebooks. You have notes on your phone. But is there like one or two life quotes that really inspire you? That you have certainly right there by your computer on
Yeah,
the wall or whatever. What would it
yeah.
be?
I have many, of course, but there's one that has been on my wall since I was a teenager.
Hmm.
And this is from Steve Jobs, and I think many people know this, but I can read it. It's there. It says your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living by the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of other people's opinions drown down your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become, and everything else is secondary. And I think for me, this is so key and so important and so core to everything that I do. And I always strive to act according to this. So yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite quotes. Yeah.
Was that from his like Stanford graduation address? Okay, yeah, that sounded familiar when you were reading that to me. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so step back in time a little bit and go back to even. I mean, you choose how far you want to go back, but I mean, at least go back, say, to 2017. What would be one solid piece of advice that you would give yourself today that you wish you knew then when you kind of started on your own?
Yeah. Well, when I was in 2007, 2017, when I was 16, I think I would go back to that moment, because when I was 16, I had a massive burnout, and my health was a disaster and everything. And I was very hard on myself, very angry with everything. And still very ambitious and very driven. So and then I just suffered for many years because of that, because I was just at my own body and my own everything
Mm-hmm.
after that burnout. And so I would just go back and just I don't know, again, what I'm working on now, basically really just tell myself, okay, you can breathe, you can be kind to yourself, you can love yourself, and if you do that, everything is going to flow so much better. No need to beat yourself up. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's what I would say.
great
Yeah.
advice. Great
Yeah.
advice. Let me ask you as we wrap up. This has been a great conversation just between two crazy dreamers. But
Yeah.
tell me, is there anything that I have not touched on that you would really like to kind of end with, and then just let people know where they can find you? I mean, your website, Facebook, stuff like that. Well, I'll put in the show notes for sure. But tell people how that they can best get in contact with you. But if there's anything else you want to touch on, just take this time right now and do that.
Mm, Yeah, I mean, we have talked about this a little bit, but one thing I'm really interested in now next to my business and I've started actually recording some calls together with people in my network, because we have started talking about this topic, and I want to create awareness about that. So if anybody can relate to this, I would be really happy to talk about it and to set up a call. And it has to do with this topic of being a driven person, and at the same time being self-loving to yourself and
Mm.
taking care of yourself. So how to balance self-care and self-love and all of that with a crazy business life.
Right.
And that for me has been a struggle since forever. And basically, I think since I was a teenager,
I
and I
think
was
since you were 4.
maybe that's possible. And so I'm learning, and I've been to all the seminars, all the retreats, and I've taught myself yoga and meditation, and how to eat well and how to work out at the gym. So it's been a very long process, and
Mm.
it's still work in progress. And I think it's a lifelong journey, basically, to really embrace yourself. But I would love to create awareness about that, and to talk more about this topic with others, and to see about to hear from other maybe crazy entrepreneurs how they deal with that, and if they have specific tips regarding self-care on a daily basis and things that keep them sane.
Yeah.
All these things I'm really interested in, and I'm even thinking of potentially creating a podcast or YouTube series or something like that together with a few people that I'm already talking about
Right.
about this topic. So yeah, that is the one thing that I really want to raise awareness about, and I'm really happy to talk about. So if anybody wants to reach out, yeah, please do. Yeah.
So the best way to get in touch with you?
My website is, well, we will have it's my website, my email, Facebook, Instagram. These are in LinkedIn. I mean, I'm everywhere, but yeah, I'm most of my time I'm on Instagram, actually. So
Okay.
maybe that's the quickest
All
way
right.
to reach out to me. Facebook is also
Okay.
good.
So the website is Alix,
Yeah.
ALIXRUFAS.com.
Yeah.
That's her website. And Alix, it has been a pleasure having you on the show today. I know our listeners are going to draw much value from the things that you shared with us today, and we just want to just kind of just pass it over to our listeners now. She's offered a couple of pain points, and now it's your turn to speak into these and to add your voice to our rising tide, because, like we say every show, all boats rise in a rising tide. Alix, thanks again.
Thank you so much.